15 most performing African presidents. African presidents are often criticized for the problems affecting the continent. Considering the actions of a majority of African leaders, critics are often justified when submitting that the issue of Africa is one of leadership. Although the actions of many African leaders are nothing short of shameful, there are few good apples on the tree. Some African leaders have led by example and are worthy of commendation. However, these leaders are not considered flawless, but are ranked based on their policies and achievements in the area of economic stability, education, infrastructural development, and employment while in office. Without much waste of time and in no particular order, here are the top 15 most performing African presidents. But first, if you're new here, welcome! Be sure to subscribe and turn notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. Number 15. Samia Suluhu Hassan, Tanzania. Following President John Magufuli's tragic passing in 2021, Samia Suluhu took over the reins of power in Tanzania. Needless to say, she's been a breath of fresh air. As one of the few female African presidents, she remains an inspiration to many African women. Some of her achievements include improved security, making Tanzania the 7th safest country in Africa according to the World Population Review. Another is women empowerment, with close to 200,000 women joining various economic empowerment groups to get financial support in their economic undertakings. Also, government investment in education and health, leading to a rise in Human Development Index from 0.529 in 2019 to 0.587 in 2021. Economic growth of 5% in 2021, with a further 8% growth in GDP expected in 2022, according to the World Bank. Number 14. Adama Barrow, the Gambia. After the despotic reign of Yahya Jammeh in the Gambia, Adama Barrow has risen to the occasion, delivering good governance to the people of Gambia. President Adama Barrow inherited the country in chaos. There were reports in the press that the former longtime dictator of the country, Yahya Jammeh, emptied the country's treasury before going on exile in Equatorial Guinea. In June 2019, he received the Great Builder Super Prize Award, which is the Africa Road Builders Babacar Ndiaye Trophy for his achievements in the area of infrastructure in the country. One area where the president has gained commendation the most is in allowing the judiciary to carry out an independent trial on the former president and demanding justice for the numerous victims that suffered human rights abuse under Yahya Jammeh. Number 13. João Lourenço, Angola. Taking over from José Eduardo dos Santos, President Lourenço's government has exposed the corruption and nepotism that prevailed in Angola. Since taking office in September 2017, President Lourenço has made significant reforms to improve financial sector transparency, liberalize the foreign exchange rate regime, and pursue a more business-friendly trajectory to improve international investors' perception of the country's business climate. In his first year in office, the new government plan that focused on anti-corruption and free market economic reforms sent positive signals of political change. Number 12. Cyril Ramaphosa, South Africa. A lover of fast cars, vintage wine, trout fishing, and game farming, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is a controversial figure. However, the president deserves some accolades for repositioning the South African economy to take over the #1 position in Africa with a target of 1.2 trillion rands over the next 3 years. As a skilled negotiator and strategist who acted as the ANC's chief negotiator during South Africa's transition to democracy, Ramaphosa built up the most influential trade union in the country, the National Union of Mine Workers. His negotiation skills have helped in no small way in helping the country overcome hostile situations that would ordinarily have affected the country's stability and relationships with other African nations. An example of this was his meeting with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari during the xenophobia attacks in South Africa. Number 11. José Marie Neves, Cabo Verde. Returning to office as president after his stint as prime minister, President Neves has outperformed first-year expectations. His campaign promises emphasize the need for strength and stability, and undoubtedly, he has delivered. His achievements in office so far, for example, are: Cape Verde now ranks just behind Mauritius as the second best governed nation in Africa, according to the Ibrahim Index. Security has also improved in the nation, with a 1% rise in the nation's safety index score. A 6% bounce in the tourist-based economy after a 14% contraction in 2020. Number 10. His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, Zambia. A country currently recognized for its relative political tolerance, amicable relations with neighboring countries, and relatively low level of violent crimes. His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema is a president who inherited an empty treasury and has done the most to rebuild the image of the nation of Zambia. Hichilema was arrested and charged with treason on April 11, 2017, in what many saw as an unconstitutional maneuver by Lungu to silence a political opponent. The incarceration and charge sparked worldwide condemnation, with demonstrations calling for Hichilema's release and decrying Lungu's regime's rising authoritarianism both in Zambia and abroad. Hichilema won the 2021 presidential elections with over 59% of the vote after running in 5 pro-presidential elections. He was a vociferous opponent of Edgar Lungu, the president of Zambia from 2015 to 2021, before his election. According to many critics, his reform agenda seemed impossible to fulfill after inheriting an empty treasury, but instead, he has made considerable strides to the developmental plan by declaring a zero-tolerance approach to corruption and a new set of reforms. Indeed, it set a platform for investor confidence against the backdrop of inheriting huge deadlines and complicated rings of bribery. There has been a recent inflation rate drop, an indication that Hichilema is working overtime. Number 9. His Excellency William Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Ghana. Often referred to as Ghana's number 1 worker, President Nana Akufo-Addo has gained admiration from across the continent and beyond for his Pan-African beliefs and people-friendly policies. Since assuming office, he has cut down on salaries of public office holders and created about 1 million job opportunities for the Ghanaian people while stabilizing the economy. He is also credited for digitalizing the NHIS, driver's license, and other government-issued documentation. His highest commendation has been in reducing corruption among top public service holders. President Akufo-Addo recently extended the free electricity and water to citizens by 3 months after making a move to ease the sufferings of his people during the COVID-19 pandemic. He is celebrated not just in Africa but across the world for bringing a breath of fresh air to the continent. Number 8. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta is the son of the former president Jomo Kenyatta. Kenyatta and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa are some of the few presidents who have been unashamedly outspoken about the need for unity, peace, and tolerance in the African community. Under the leadership of Kenyatta, the Kenyan government made commitments to the United Nations Framework Convention for Climate Change to reduce emissions by 32% by 2030. However, with most African countries operating in difficulty due to the corona pandemic, it's a different story for the Kenyan economy. According to the World Bank 2021 report, the economy is projected to recover and grow above 5%. As a result, Kenya has a Human Development Index of 0.601, ranking at 143 globally as confirmed by the United Nations Development Programme reports. Number 7. Paul Kagame, Rwanda. When Paul Kagame became Rwanda's president in 2000, he inherited a country that had been torn apart by genocide. To rebuild it, he had to rely on mostly uneducated guerrilla fighters and a handful of ill-trained cadres. Even the most optimistic of analysts doubted his chances, but years later, the country is stable, prosperous, unified, and in large part reconciled. Social services such as education, healthcare, housing and livestock are provided to the needy with no distinction of ethnicity or region of origin. President Kagame has been considered the most performing African president for many years. Number 6. Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi, Egypt. The Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi-led country is the 8th most developed country in Africa, endowed with high indications of a Human Development Index of 0.707. The economy experienced annual growth of 7.20% in 2021. Moreover, according to the World Bank, there has been a decline in unemployment to 7.3% versus a year-on-year peak of 9.6%. Egypt has a peace index of 1.95, which is above average, an indication that the president has fought political instability and the level of crimes in the country. Number 5. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, Algeria. Since he took office after his victory in the 2019 presidential elections, President Tebboune has massively improved the lives of Algerians. His inclusive leadership style has revolutionized the infrastructure and health industries. Also, there has been a great improvement in security, with an improvement in the safety index score from 78.21 in 2021 to 78.25 in 2022. A 3.3 points rise in the Ibrahim Index of African Governance since he attained office. Over 100,000 lifted out of poverty in the last year, taking the total figure to 1.1 million since 2019. Because of him, Algeria's Human Development Index remains steadily high at 0.748, one of Africa's highest. Number 4. Macky Sall, Senegal. President Sall has gained huge commendation for his achievement in the health sector. He has also called on other African leaders on numerous occasions to invest more resources into health and to address the health challenges facing the continent. The president also won the hearts of Africans when he called for the completion of the Bridge Road Rail project between Brazzaville and Kinshasa, the capital of the DRC. His investment in the health sector amid the COVID-19 pandemic did not go unnoticed. They encouraged the World Bank Board of Executive Directors to approve on $100 million, half in grant and half in credit, to assist the government of Senegal in responding to the social and economic impacts of the pandemic. Number 3. Aziz Akanouch, Morocco. Since coming into office in 2021, PM Akanouch has continued the good works of Prime Minister Othmani. Following in his predecessor's footsteps, he's invested in education, health, and transport sector. As a result of the Moroccan government's anti-corruption program, Corruption Perception Index of Morocco is at 41 on 100, 1 point higher than last year and a decade-high figure. Aziz succeeded in giving Morocco a high Human Development Index score of 0.686, placing it in the upper 20th percentile among African nations, and also achieving the top 10 status in the Ibrahim Index for African governance. Number 2. Wavel Ramkalawan, Seychelles. President Wavel Ramkalawan is both a politician and a priest. He's been in this leadership position since 2020. In the fight against corruption, Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index put Seychelles first in Africa in 2021 with a score of 70 out of 100, up from 66 in 2020. Out of 180 countries, it is now rated 23rd in the world and first in Africa. With a Human Development Index of 0.796, Seychelles is Africa's second most developed country, suggesting that the country is doing well in areas such as adult literacy rate, life expectancy to income equality, and mobile phone subscriptions. The Ramkalawan administration boasts a 14.30% annual GDP growth rate and a low unemployment rate. Number 1. Prithviraj Singh Rupun, Mauritius. Arguably the best African president, President Rupun has Mauritius consistently outranking its peers in every metric. 2 years after the crisis that rocked Amina Gurib Fakim's administration, President Rupun's tenure as head of state has been nothing but good. Since its entry into office, the island nation is rebranding to position itself as Africa's top tourist destination. This repositioning has seen Mauritius rise to the top of all the positive indices. Some of President Rupun's achievements is making Mauritius become Africa's top country in the 2020 Human Development Index, Corruption Perception Index, Security and Rule of Law Index, and also the Ibrahim Index for African Governance. After a 14.9% drop in its GDP in 2020, Mauritius has achieved a year-on-year GDP growth of 2%, almost fully recovering from the pandemic in just 2 years. Education has also become a top priority, with more international students visiting to attain tertiary education. Conclusion: in spite of the many challenges that currently face African countries, these 15 African presidents are making giant steps towards tackling them. Africa is a land with fertile soils and very rich in minerals. It is upon the leaders of the land to build value out of the natural resources. Nevertheless, which other leader do you think should make this list? Please let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and also share it with your friends.